Good morning. Today I've decided to do a small video about myself and who I am, where I come from, and a little bit of humor about a certain kind of cultural experience that most of you probably do not go through in life. I'm talking about arranged marriages. Yes, crazy, isn't it? But to go back to where I was born and raised, I was born and raised in Kolkata. This is the city that was made famous by Mother Teresa. She put her world headquarters over there, and I was born and raised in Kolkata, and I have been blessed enough that I have volunteered in her orphanage. I've sat at her feet and I've been blessed by her. So I did not even know what an exceptional experience that was till I actually came to the United States to pursue my second master's degree. And I didn't know what an important and impactful figure she was till I came here. But to go back to um, arranged marriages, um, people have heard about them. Have you all ever experienced one? Um, Chances are no. So I'm going to talk about one funny incident. So my problem growing up, and if it was a problem, was that I was very manageable, very, very manageable. I didn't look like the back of a bus. I came from a very good family. I had good education. And I learned to cook from the time I was in third grade. So I was very domestic. Though my mother wouldn't exactly agree with that all the time because I'm not a very good housekeeper. My kitchen looks like a bomb detonated after I've cooked, but what I cook is always good. So, long story short, a lot of people thought that I was very manageable, including my father. And I didn't have a boyfriend growing up. I grew up in this very, very conservative family where you didn't really have boyfriends. And I went to all girls school and all girls college. So I didn't really know anybody, so didn't get to meet anybody. So, long story short, my parents were tasked with the task of finding a groom for me. And I can tell you that it was a different kind of experience. I would dress up, wear a sari. A sari was absolutely required because you cannot um, show up for your viewing, viewing, shall we say, in anything other than a sari. So I wore a sari and I looked pretty unusually. Yeah, your parents would give you a tray of hot tea to carry because hey, nothing to make you more nervous than rattling that tray of hot tea and you're entering a living room full of strangers. Only in India it's called the drawing room. I don't know why it's called the drawing room. You're not drawing guns or anything, but you are entering a drawing room. So that funny incident, till date, that is the only proposal of marriage I have ever received directly. And I entered the living room, and there is a young man sitting. Of course, his parents are there, and my parents are there. And my mother is trying to explain something to me. And I'm noticing that the young man is wearing glasses. And she says, well, this is not the man whose picture was sent to us. And, to back up, um, the way an arranged marriage begins is there's an exchange of resume and pictures, pretty much like a job exchange, like unless there is somebody who is making an introduction in a known family. But in the typical world of arranged marriages, matrimonial world in India, it is an exchange of CVs and pictures, and you do get to see what a person's background is. And there's a lot to be said for the process. I'm not judging arranged marriages as a process. I actually think that's not a bad thing to be part of. I'm just saying that it was some incidents in this journey were hilarious, and you will appreciate the humor of it. So here I am, and my mother is telling me, this is not exactly the young man whose picture you saw, but this is his twin. And I'm like, twin. Okay, I didn't know there was a twin. And then his mother is trying to explain to me, I have twins, and we have, both of the twins are in town, and we want both of them to get married. And the other one already has found somebody, he likes somebody else. So this one is here, and he's just like his brother. And they're born on the same day. So hey, he's a marine engineer. That one was, I think, no, he was an environmental engineer, and the other one was a marine engineer. So they're practically the same thing. Okay, while I'm digesting this young man is grinning at me, and he's making conversation. And he was living somewhere in the United States, and he was super social. Obviously, he's learned to live in the US, and he's learned to, you know, be social. Um, he was in a relatively awkward situation himself, but he was making the best of it. And honestly, I didn't know what Kool-Aid he had drunk, but a few minutes within after the conversation, he gets up suddenly. And this is complete unrealism because, I've walked into a room full of strangers other than my parents, who are absolutely no help at that time, because my father is grinning indulgently that, the family is so nice, and this, boy lives abroad, and he's studying engineering. He's qualified, and of course, it's okay to give my daughter away to somebody who I barely know, but hey, he has good credentials. And uh, to give him credit, it was good credentials. I mean, the credential part of it is assured in the arranged marriage. So you don't have to worry about, somebody lying about who they are, having bad credit, and being somebody from jail or weird stuff that I encounter these days. But he stood up. This young man was very impressed with me. He stood up and he said, "I'm asking you directly, will you marry me and move to the United States with me?" And I opened my mouth and I couldn't close it. I think a whole ocean full of fish would have gotten into my mouth, or flies would have all had a field day in my mouth, as long as I stood with my mouth gaping open. And I couldn't give him an answer, of course, because I was shell shocked. But my mother, she knows her daughter fairly well. She did a good management of the situation, and she calmed everybody down, made him sit down, and we exchanged food and everything. And 2 days later, we were invited to their house for an evening. And I told my mother, okay, I don't dislike the guy. Honestly, didn't dislike him. I honestly, till date, do not dislike him. But I could not give him an answer based on 15 minutes of meeting him. And we went to his house, went to their house, and I met the other twin. And the other twin didn't wear glasses. And I will forever remember that evening where I was seated in their living room talking to the two brothers, and my sister was there, and our parents were in the other room. And I had told my mother multiple times, please, please, for the love of God, do not agree to a marriage or anything, um, because I don't know the guy. I just need to know him more before I give him an answer. I cannot give an answer. And out comes my mother, and here I am. I mean, very nervous, very, very nervous, because you have no idea when you lose that kind of control, and you've given that control to your parents. I couldn't do it now if somebody held a gun to me, to my head, but it's still very nerve wracking because I'm an educated woman, and I'm a very strong minded woman, and yet I had entrusted something weirdly important to my parents. So they come out, and my mother is smiling, and she says, "Hey," after I have, mind you, told her multiple times, do not agree to anything, any kind of marriage or engagement or anything final. Don't give them any answer. Just kind of talk to them. And my mother comes out and says, "Hey, it's all arranged. You all are getting engaged next Saturday, and the wedding is 2 weeks later." And of course, I looked like somebody had shot me in the back. My sister said that I looked like somebody had shot me in the back, and I kind of um, wouldn't speak, didn't speak, didn't marry the guy. I mean, needless to say, that very quick wedding. People have done it. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who get married or got married, at least in my generation, with less than that kind of acquaintance. My mother married my father without even knowing his name, and they were married for 53 years. So it's not that arranged marriages work out badly, and I can't say that, so called love marriages are the best thing in the world, but because I've seen some go south pretty badly. Um, but this was funny. I did marry the guy. I could not. It was not easy telling my father that I didn't want to marry the guy who was very qualified and he had vetted and all of those things, but that is such as was. So, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed my little story. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. Um, but no, thank you for joining me.